You know, with all the storms and recent rains we've been having lately, hard to forget, or it's easy to forget, I should say, that we do live in a high desert here in southern Idaho. Dry heat doesn't lend well to wildflowers in dry years. But as the saying goes, May showers lead to June flowers. Isn't that how it goes? Back in June of 1993, they had a pretty cool wet spring, similar to what we had this year. Then things really heated up to create the perfect recipe for wildflowers to cook, creating a masterpiece in the southern, sparser part of the state. Former KTVB reporter David Mills takes us back in time in today's Exploring Idaho.
What is sometimes seen as an unattractive desert is far from unattractive this year. For the past 8 years, drought and hot summers kept wildflowers from making a strong showing. But a cool, wet spring followed by a warm spell have produced a spectacular display.
It kind of sat there waiting to explode, and then when we had the warm weather, boom, they came out. And now the desert is alive with color.
From the white phlox to the blue lupine, Popovich calls this a sight for sore eyes.
Nature has come up with this grand scheme of producing many different beautiful colors and shapes of wildflowers as part of the landscape.
In a place where a couple of dozen Lewissia flowers might bloom, thousands dot the landscape.
The flower of this plant is so delicate and so beautiful, yet it's growing in a very harsh environment, rocky, hot, dry. That contrast is beautiful to me.
It has been about 10 years since the wildflowers have shown their colors in this fashion, and botanists, those who study these flowers, say it may be a long time before we see another exhibit like this one. They fear we're losing thousands of acres of flowers a year. They're being choked out by things like wildfires and weeds.
People don't really realize it, but prior to European settlement, all of this country had wildflowers, and all of this country was alive with color. With European settlement, we brought in weeds, and we brought in fires, and we brought land into cultivation, and that habitat loss has resulted in the loss of millions of acres of what once supported wildflowers.
Popovich says it is nearly impossible to reclaim the land already lost to weeds. It's not easy to get rid of these stubborn plants, and even tougher to replant wildflowers in their place. But the Bureau of Land Management is looking at ways to preserve the wildflowers that still remain, although it appears to be an uphill battle.
They're a beautiful thing that has been on this earth in southern Idaho for the last 15,000 years. To watch that go by the wayside in another 50 or 100 years is a sorrowing thought.
If they thought wildfires were a major threat 30 years ago. Ooh. Well, you know, not sure we're having quite the same bloom as they did 30 years ago, but you know what you can be sure of, you head to the foothills about this time, you're gonna notice some pretty nice wildflowers that are sprinkled along the trails in the Boise foothills, so check those out.